Hi, this video is an update on my Vanda orchids. I have probably too many Vandas for my space, and I just want to record them at this point of time so I could go back and compare who is doing what. And I'm gonna start with a new purchase, which is not exactly Vanda, but vandaceous, I say. I lump it to vandaceous orchids. This is Dimorphorchis lowii that I just bought from Clouds. It's a seedling. It's what in a pot. There's some roots. I tried to grow Dimorphorchis last year, and I was not successful because I think it was not my fault. I think it already came to me rotting from inside. So I decided to try again, and I think it helps to try with a healthy plant, even though it's just a seedling. Clouds orchids usually has a lot of seedlings to sell, rarely or not too many blooming sized plants. But that's okay. It does look healthy and nice, so that's my new Dimorphorchis. Hopefully I'll do better with it. I forgot to make a whole video, when I bought it. I really don't have too much time right now. But another seedling that I bought with it was this little cattleya. It's a Kiovi Mendenhall. This is a third Kiovi. Some might call it obsession, maybe it is. But yeah, this is the seedling from Clouds. I think I'm still not convinced that the plant that I got from Aquagenera is the actual Kiovi. I won't believe it until I see the flower, so just in case, I bought another one from Clouds. So that's that's Vanda video, so no Goliath. And another vandaceous pot that I have in a tank is the seedlings here. They're very precious because they're rare. It is a Vanda tricolor alba. The tricolor has flowers with spots, the burgundy spots, but this one will have white flowers with yellow spots. It should be neat. I bought it as a flask from Aquagenera a few years ago, but the seedlings didn't have very good start because the flask came jumbled and lots of leaves were bent and broken. So when I took them out, they started to rot. But I was able to save 3 seedlings out of all flask. See, that's not very good surviving rate, but I'm still happy. I mean, if I got more, what would I do with them? 3 is a good size, a good number, and they're progressing well. Once they established, the tricolor seedlings from flask, once they established, they grow pretty fast. I think Vanda tricolor is the one that grows pretty fast. So that's just I'm recording their size for the future. 2 Vandas hanging here. They're also seedlings. Well, they're coming to probably large seedlings now. This is Vanda foetida that I bought from Clouds also a couple of years ago. It's growing well. Now the leaves the leaf span is enlarging. It looks good. And this one is Vanda luzonica that I bought from Orchids Floriculturing. I think it's probably near blooming size now. It's larger. I bought it as a small seedling too. So if you buy a small seedling of Vanda, be patient. They do grow slowly, but surely. This is my Aerides houlettiana. It bloomed for me. There's an old spike I need to cut it. I forgot to cut it. And it's growing well. This plant had a disastrous rot. It was a huge plant with a plant and a kitty, but it rotted through the stem when I received it, and so I cut it so it became two pieces, and now there's lots of roots in there, so it's doing good. Houlettiana. This one doesn't need bright light to spike. It's spiked here. See how far from the window? But it produced spike nonetheless. So if you don't have too bright light and want vandaceous, that will bloom. This one will. And the last Vanda in orchid room. This is Vanda Perez, which I am experimenting with under the lights. And I can say that the lights are pretty bright. See, it got all the purple splotches all over the top leaves. Hopefully, they will encourage the plant to spike. But I don't see the spike so far. It's growing nice roots. It's progressing well. I bought it last year. I think Rhynchostylis and Gabrielle also bought the same plant, so we all have it. And yeah, mine is growing pretty well. I'm just hoping that this light will help with the spike. And here's my main Vanda area. That's where all my other Vandas, most of my Vandas live. And I actually have a couple of spikes to brag about. And this is the one that I couldn't wait to show. This is Vanda tricolor. Oh, at least that's what it was labeled when I bought it. And I bought it in October 2012. So can you imagine, like almost 9 years. When I bought it, it was a tiny little small seedling. It was probably smaller than this one. See, those are my seedlings. This is Vanda brunnea. Conjo, this is insignis, and that's another brunnea. Brunneas came from the flask from Chinese vendor. Something mountain, honk, something, I forgot. I'll write it on the screen. So I deflasked them a couple of years ago. They're progressing well. This is Vanda pumila. And so, yeah, when I bought this Vanda tricolor, it was the size smaller than the seedlings. And it took me 9 years to get it to spike. And I will be really upset if it will turn out something else, not Vanda tricolor, because I bought it from eBay. That seller is not there anymore, so I won't be able to find out what it is if it's mislabeled. But I'm just excited to see this spike. This plant is just when I bought it, I just started with orchids. I had no idea what I was doing, and I did destroy a lot of Vandas by just trying to pot them up or trying different mediums. But this little seedling kind of stayed with me through all these years, became a family member basically. Now it's like, it's huge, see? So having this spike is like really big deal for me. And here's another spike, which is not that big of a deal because this plant already bloomed for me. This is Vanda coerulea. It is very well behaved plant that blooms every year. And that's the spike. So soon I should have nice blue tessellated flowers. I really like this plant. It's a compact. It doesn't have such a big leaf span as tricolor. So it's a nice compact Vanda. and it also doesn't need too bright light to spike. See, it is shaded by other vandas here. So the thing is that all my vandas that I'm growing here, they don't receive any additional light, only the natural light from the windows. And I think that's why they're kind of harder to bloom for me. So having these spikes is really nice. And this huge plant is my pain. This is Vanda tessellata, which I have for quite a few years. And since I got it, it tripled in size. But it doesn't bloom. So I tried at some point, a couple years ago, I tried to keep it outside during summer, but it didn't help. So right now I hanged it here. This is the brightest spot in this corner, and the tricolor actually started spike while hanging here. So I hanged this this tessellata here, and I hope that it will get spiked too. But honestly, until now, it didn't. It is a very healthy plant. See, it has these roots that are like almost as fat as my fingers, and I have fat fingers. It's huge, but it doesn't bloom. Stubborn plant. And this is my Vanda Rothschildiana, who bloomed in the spring, and I think it will probably bloom in the spring again. It's a nice plant. And on the mount there are Vanda tricolor seedlings that I deflasked. I had a lot of them. It was successful deflasking. Lots of seedlings survived. So I gave away a lot. I sold some of them on Kijiji. And so I left myself these 3 seedlings. They're rounds, the smallest ones from the flask, but they're growing well. And this one here is my Vanda denisoniana, who has the most amazing roots I've ever seen in a Vanda. Look, those roots are like crazy. They're growing every each way. Oh, hopefully, happy roots, happy plant, and eventually a spike. I got it last year from Tropical Gardens, so maybe it still needs some adjustment before it can bloom, but hopefully it will. It's growing very well. And this one here is another Vanda denisoniana, also from Tropical Gardens. This one arrived with some rot at the top, which progressed. So there was a crown rot, and I chopped it, the top. And I was waiting for some keikis, and keikis came from the 3 different places, see? So at some point I will have 3-headed dragon out of this Vanda denisoniana. I'm keeping it. It'll be an interesting plant when all these keikis will grow out. The roots are okay. There's not that many, not as many as on the other denisoniana, but I think it's enough to live happily. And this another large Vanda here is Vanda M.V. Tannins that I bought last year from Crystal Star, and there's also something growing which I want to show. I don't know, can you see it? Can you see that little bump there? So I'm hoping it's a spike, but it might as well be root. I'm not sure yet. But yeah, it's not clear yet, so I hope it's a spike. And I hope it doesn't stop growing. So that's M.V. Tannins. It's a large plant and it has a little keiki, which is growing very well too. So yeah, I think at this point I can say that I can grow vandas pretty well. I just cannot bloom them all that well. And this one here is Vanda scandens, which always has problem with roots. It grows roots, but then they go brown. And it grows some more roots, and then they go brown. So, not sure what's up with this, but the plant is, nonetheless, it's growing. So hopefully at some point the growing roots will be more than browning. See, there are some green tips. And even though they're brown, they're still firm. And I think they can still absorb the nutrients. So I'm not trimming them off, just keeping them. And we'll see what happens. Vanda scandens. Now here in the corner of the window I have Aerides flabellata, which is Vanda flabellata right now, and it's growing me a keiki. It did bloom this year, now it's growing me a keiki. Got it from Rhynchostylis, and I'm really happy that I could bloom it. Although I noticed that in the drier conditions the buds will drop. So if it starts spiking again, I need to put it inside of tank to preserve the buds. The flowers are really cute. And that one there is my Rhynchostylis gigantea alba, which bloomed last year. Bloomed in December, so maybe this year it'll bloom again in December, we'll see. And the last Vanda here, this is Vanda's coerulea number 2. And it wasn't lucky. I broke the top on it. It was soaking in the water, and I was taking off Vanda M.V Tannins from the hanger, and I dropped it right on top of this Vanda, and the top was broken. And at first I thought to cut off, it was just hanging broken. And I thought that I should cut it, but I didn't. And I think the breakage healed. So it's not broken anymore, but it's all crooked. So I was surprised that see those leaves were really small when I broke it. They're at the point of breakage. This and this. And these are new leaves that grew after that break. So it's still alive. And yeah, I don't mind it being crooked. That's fine. As long as it blooms sometime. It's Vanda's coerulea too. So yeah, that was my assessment of my Vanda orchids. I don't have as many blooms as I would like to, but this spike is really exciting. Can't wait to see the flowers, and I do really hope it's Vanda tricolor, as it claims to be. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.